Okay, so that's what's new. And
Mhm,
this is really like a great segue to go to our next portion, which, since we're talking about the couples, well, I
mhm,
would like to talk about what they need to know and what they need to have. Like, how do they know that they're ready to start, and what should they
mhm.
be bringing to the table when they're looking for their agent, planner? There's things y'all
Yeah.
need to be doing beforehand.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yes, calling is a thing, but how can you help the experience go smoother?
Yeah, it's funny. And I've quite a spurt of this lately, and that's why I thought this would be a great topic, is people coming to us with no clue.
Yes, not at all.
Like
Nope, not at all.
no clue. And we're like, have you guys even talked to each other about this?
Like,
So,
nope, like,
so
nope, nope, not at all.
yeah. So typically what I require is, happy to jump on like a quick phone call or a quick introductory like email. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, my favorite way to start with a couple is a Zoom call. FaceTime, Skype, whatever. Let's get the two of you on there because body language is priceless. When you have a couple sitting together who has maybe not even discussed beyond, hey, let's have a destination wedding, just the eye rolls, the taps, the like, seriously, is so fun. And so just, meeting with that couple and seeing their faces, seeing how they react to the questions, I started asking, talking about budget, decor, adults only with kids. And it's just so funny. Sometimes they're just
The
like
art,
two different directions, and
right?
other times they're right on the same page. But I feel like by the end of the couple's call with me, I have a really good idea of like what would be the perfect fit. Like
Yeah.
I could probably call the hotel at the end of most of these meetings. I don't tell them that because I want them to feel like they picked. But
Like, here are your options, but we already
yeah,
know what they're
here
gonna
are
choose.
10 options, but I know which one you're probably going to pick. Yeah, I think body language is huge. So, people always want to just get on the phone. What do you think? How much is it going to cost? And I'm like, you have to give me a little bit to go on, to see where you guys have, started. So I think really, and I will be honest, like I had a girl the other day, she was just like, didn't have a time of year, didn't have a destination, didn't know if it's going to be adults only or with kids. And I was like, you're not ready for me yet.
Did she have a partner? Was
You,
she engaged?
I'm not sure, honestly. I do. I get some of those. I'm like, okay.
Just so I know when
Um,
I'm getting engaged, how can I start? No, I mean, which
oh, I've
we do have you guys on the phone, like you guys are listening and watching, and we love you, but
yes.
watch, listen, but we don't want to like get a consultation quite yet. You gotta, yeah.
I had to turn down two wedding planning processes this year for people who were not engaged.
Okay.
And I said, "Oh, I know he's going to ask. I know he's going to ask. It's coming." I'm like,
Okay.
no. And
Yeah.
one I sort of know personally, and he never asked. So,
You're like, no, he's not. It's like,
yeah, I've been there long
oh,
enough. He's not.
right.
Um, yeah, so
Oh,
number one, be engaged.
yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. And, have talked about it a little bit. So, because I will sometimes say, you guys are not ready for me. Answer these 5 or 10 questions with each other and then come back to me. You really need to decide kind of when, a ballpark at least budget, what you're thinking of, and then, what's super important to you. Do you really want everyone to bring their kids? Do you want an adults only event? Do you want something this year, or do you need a couple years to plan and save? There's so much. So I love to kind of go through a checklist and go, come back to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. I did that with a girl the other day. I was like, you're not ready for me. Just, get all soul search. You need all these questions answered. 7 minutes later, she emailed me. Okay.
I love her already. I love her.
No, no. Your soul did not have time to
That's
absorb that information.
like
You're
a little
just,
kid who's on timeout. Like, you sit there and think about it. Okay, all right, I'm back. Okay, nope,
um,
nope, nope.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's still sitting in my inbox with 3 different parts of the world. I'm
Oh,
like,
poor thing.
so I think that's a biggie. Really do yourself a favor. do a little research before you come to us. I think another piece of it is be ready for the financial part of it, to start a room block, to hold a wedding date and time, all those things is going to cost a little bit of money. So I usually tell everybody to be prepared with maybe $2,500 to $4,500 that you're going to start to put towards this event, because a room block is usually like $100 a room. The hotel's going to want probably $200 to $1,000 to hold a date and time. So that's frustrating for us to kind of go through the planning process and, okay, you picked a place, you picked a date. This is how much the initial deposit to get the ball rolling. And they're like, oh,
Oh,
well, I'll get back to you in a month or so when I have that ready. And you're like, no.
yeah.
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 So
So, and for anyone who's new, can you explain what a room block is?
yes. So, and I think we were going to talk a little about contracts too, which that
We
all
are.
goes together.
Yes.
So a room block, and one of the big misconceptions is people think it's an actual block, like we're holding this building for your
Right.
wedding.
A literal,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're like, am I going to be next to so and so? I'm like, no, it's not. It's
Not a
not an actual
physical
room.
block. Right. Yeah.
So a lot of times, so someone says, come to us, and we're going to have maybe 50 people at our wedding. So it's okay. You should be safe blocking around 25 rooms. We can go to the hotel, ask for group rates, ask for a room block, and what they'll do is they'll come back to us with the group rates, and then the perks and concessions and all that would go with blocking however many rooms you're asking for. And then you would pick out some rooms, maybe 5 ocean views, 5 junior suites, 5 garden views, and we ask the hotel to hold those. So basically they're holding the space, they're holding the pricing.
Nice looking man.
And then that would that's what we build kind of your booking engine off of. So the one that I was talking about, our new technology, we're going to load all that in there for your guests to choose from. And most hotels want anywhere from $500, some want $100 per room, some want 10% of the value of what you're blocking.
Are you
So
saying $500 per room, or like some just have like
they're
a
total.
flat
Like there's
deep,
certain
like a?
resorts that'll give you 25 rooms for $500. They'll
Oh,
just give
okay.
you a flat deposit, which is
Okay.
really nice. It's a few
Yeah.
hotel chains that do that. Most want 100 a room. So if you're going to block 25 rooms, you'd put down a $2,500 deposit. Some want a percentage. If you're blocking a large amount of rooms, is usually where you go into a percentage. And then that money at the end of the day is typically applied to your room. So it's kind of like prepaying your room.
Mm-hmm.
But so many of the hotels, when you have a group, they are going to offer you comps and perks. So a lot of times you don't even have a balance for your room at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, that initial deposit would just get refunded back to you.
Yeah, I think that's what happened with us, and we didn't even have a lot of people. But and what I want you, bride friends, listening and watching, to know is that with your room block, say for example, there's that $100 per room, you'll pay that, and then as guests are invited and as they're RSVPing, that plus some more should be their deposit. Like their room deposit would be them basically giving you your money back, if that makes sense. So you're paying up front, hey, I want them to have this room. And then you're telling them, hey, if you want to come to my wedding, you need to give me my money back for this, is the idea, right?
Sort of, yeah, at the end of the day. So what we usually do, and this is how everyone does it a little
Does it
differently. This is how I
differently.
do it. So, say if you're blocking 25 rooms, you've put down $2,500. We don't tell the guests that, because you don't ever
Oh,
want the
yes. Let
guests
them know that you paid for their room. True.
pay for
Don't.
a deposit, because then they don't respond.
Yeah.
They just don't respect, and it's a shame, but it happens.
Yeah. Keep that
So
information to yourself. Just know that
yeah,
that's
just
on
say
your
we
side.
created a block. And that money actually just sits there on the group. It doesn't actually get applied to the guest room. So as your guests book, I will get a deposit from them as well. So I usually just do 100 per room. So that way they're now financially responsible. So if they were to cancel or change, if there was any penalties, it would come out of their money and
And
not the
not
couple's
yours.
money.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's always worked out really well for us. So that way they're now financially responsible. And that's, to me, an RSVP. Like they
Yeah.
can check that box on your website, tell you at a party that they're going, absolutely won't miss it. When they pay
And
that
to
deposit, that's the RSVP. So
Amen.
now you're officially on the list. And then that way they have their own invoice now and they can start making payments and working on exactly what they want to do. So at the end of the day, that deposit that you started the block with can be refunded, or say if you're paying for like a vendor, your grandma, like however you want to do it, that money can just be applied or refunded back to you at the end.
Awesome.
So
I love that. And
that's
we will dig into contracts. I'm not gonna ask too much more, but y'all see the next piece for the contracts because we're gonna dig up in them. Okay, so when it comes to the money wise, there's so much that goes into a destination wedding, right?
yeah.
So I always get the question, I get it, oh, I get this like at least weekly.
Hey, okay, I know I'm interrupting and you probably got your notepad out by now, and if you don't, this might be a little quick second for you to go grab it. But I have to take a moment to thank our amazing sponsor who you're sitting here listening to, Sarah Klein and Time for Travel. So, by now, you're starting to understand the value of a destination wedding travel agent, and Time for Travel is an amazing choice. Sarah's been in the business for over 20 years, and she offers intimate experiences just for the two of you, and also the grand events for your family and friends. And her Instagram account, if you haven't checked that out, is everything. Time for Travel handle all of our travel for our destination wedding in Mexico and our honeymoon in Jamaica way back in 2017, and our guests still rave about her and have used Time for Travel for personal vacations since then. As you guys know, I only partner with companies that I truly believe in, and I'm proud to have Time for Travel on our team as a Desti Pro, but also as a Desti partner. So thank you, Sarah, for sponsoring the show. You can find out more information about Sarah and Time for Travel and get a free consultation at timefortravel.com, and tell her your best Desti bride friend Omi sent you, and they'll take extra special care of you. All right, back to the interview.
So it's been like I've been doing this like 5 years, so it happens very, very often. How much does a destination wedding cost? And my answer honestly is always like whatever you have. Like it's gonna cost what you can save. It's gonna cost what you can pay, or you don't necessarily have to save it. You can pay. Like doesn't freak out because charge it. Whatever. It's gonna cost what you can pay. So that's when it becomes a thing where if I have a bride right now who wants to get married in March, well, first of all, that's kind of crazy for trying to
Mm-hmm.
get a place, right? But
Yeah.
then also, do you have that money already? If you have it already, then cool.
Right.
But how do you explain that to people? Like, you need to know financially what you're going to do, and they do need to talk
Right.
to you. It's kind of like a chicken versus egg situation. Like, all right, we want to
Right.
stay here. How much is this going to cost? But then it's like, okay, how much do you have? So,
Right.
do they
Right.
like reach out and go, what type of resorts should we be looking at? What's the ballpark? And then we can kind of go, okay, we thought we could get married in 2023. We actually need to push that to 2024 to be able to do what we want to do. Does that
Right.
sound right? Or
It does. And that's really where I think that Zoom call with the couple is priceless,
yeah,
because then I get to find out where their head is and how much they've thought about it. But I get asked that question every day.
yeah.
How much is a destination away? And I always turn around and go, how
How
much is a
much do
car?
you have? Exactly,
And they go,
exactly.
huh? I
Yeah.
said,
How much is
do
a
you want a
house? How much
Hyundai
is a
or a
car?
Cadillac? Like, it's the same question. I don't know what bells and whistles you want. I don't know what your taste and your budget and your level of bouginess are. So,
Seriously, yeah.
are you looking for barefoot on the beach? Are you looking, for a grand event for 100 people? So I kind of walk through the Zoom call with them to find out what's important and what's, really needed, about how many people they think. And then I hit them with the question, what's your budget? And you'll talk to different people in the industry who are like, don't ever ask that question. I don't want to waste their time or mine.
Mm,
So, and I always explain to them why I asked the question. And it's because I know what I love and what my level of expectations are, but it's not necessarily everybody else's. So, I usually kind of broach it as, if you have an idea, give me a ballpark, even if it's a huge ballpark, because the worst thing I want to do is present something to them that they're going to fall in love with and then break their heart when it's
Right.
$20,000 more, than what they've, everyone says great food and fabulous and luxury and all this on the call. But then when we get down to the nitty-gritty, I'm like, whoa. And I'll be quick to say if it's not realistic as well.
Yeah.
So,
And really, what's great food? What's great food to me is not great food to someone else, or they may think something's great, and I'm like, oh yeah, no. So it's
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
game.
So I always tell them start with the resort because that's what's going to set the vibe, the tone, the quality of everything. Most resorts we work with can create a great wedding. So if you have the building blocks of a great location, that's what people are really going to remember, and that's going to be the experience. And then we can make the wedding what you want. Because you can take, a really fabulous resort. Some of them have some very reasonable wedding packages, and you could take a more budget resort and really do it up with the wedding. So the bride and groom's level of what they're used to and then who they're inviting don't match typically. So that's a hard balance too, is to, you want the quality in your wedding, but you want to be able to appease, the guests who are more on a budget or not well traveled.
Right.
So that's where, when they kind of come at me with this number, I can say, yes, that's doable. But based on what you're describing, you may end up more around here. But then I had one the other day, they threw out a number and I was like, you can buy the whole resort, so
no
I'm
worries.
shocked on a daily basis of different types of expectations of what people throw out. It makes my job always fun.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That is,
It's different.
That's
exciting. But, the other day I had one, they said, probably 60, 80 people. And she said, the budget's maybe like 5,000. And I just went, okay, invite 60 to 80 people to your house, hire a DJ, hire a caterer, lighting, staff. Could you really have a party at your house?
Yeah, right. For that. Yeah.
So those are the ones that I have to go, okay, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
And then, yesterday I had a couple throw out $40,000 and I went, oh, we're going to have a grand event. You can have an amazing wedding for half of that in the Caribbean, Mexico, So okay. It's all about expectations.
Okay. And as usual, as you all are watching this, if you have any questions about anything that we're talking about, feel free to drop them in the comments. And Sarah's always there to answer them. We're going to do, aren't you, Sarah? You're there to answer the question.
Absolutely. All the time.
And we're going to have you back in the community sometime soon, the Desti Lovers community, plug. But we'll have you back in there for Desti Hour. It's been ages since you've come.
I know.
We miss you.
Yes. It's a busy wedding season. So, but hopefully we can get in there while I'm in destination somewhere fabulous so I can walk you guys around and show you somewhere new and fun.
Yes, that would be amazing. So cool. Do you feel like digging into contracts now? Is this a good time for that?
Sure. I think that is a big topic that we've been challenged with recently. Most of our weddings, we do what we call a group contract, which is where you're blocking space. Years ago, we used to kind of wing it and say, oh, just invite everybody and there'll be rooms at the hotel, especially if you're picking a big hotel and you're a year plus out. But with the demand in travel, most hotels are running at full occupancy.